Okay, can I just say that his name alone made me subscribe. That is a perfect name for a Nintendo-based Chicagoland gamer. ChiGuy, aka Johnny Zakari, not only has a voice that is like so chill I could hear him talk about basically anything, but he uses his voice for good and talks about Nintendo content. His opinions in the videos that he makes are so well thought out that he can see both sides of things Nintendo does, which is a really good quality to have if you're a Nintendo fan, honestly.
I agree. I could also listen to myself talk about basically anything. For real, thanks for giving me the shout out in your best YouTubers of 2018 video. And to everyone else, feel free to check out the Conmen RDW channel. I'll link to it in the description below. Obviously, as you can see, he has some pretty good taste. So let's get down to business. Today, there are two Nintendo news stories that have been floating around this past weekend that I'd like to address. One is Nintendo has reported that their mobile games made a total of $348 million in 2018. If you look at the chart on here where they break down the money from each game, you can see it's no surprise that it's all about the waifus in that mobile market. And as this post on Nintendo Life also mentions, this is fresh on the heels of the announcement that Pokemon Go made close to $800 million worldwide last year as well. Yes, please come at me with all your comments on how Pokemon Go is dead and no one plays it anymore. So we have that little bit of information. And then secondly, in a recent interview with Japanese news outlet Nikkei, Nintendo President Furukawa had this to say about the potential future for the Nintendo company. In the long term, perhaps our focus as a business could shift away from home consoles. Flexibility is just as important as ingenuity. I'd like to increase the amount of games on smartphones that have a continuous stream of revenue. This has sent some people into a little bit of a tizzy online because it is crazy how much these mobile games, how much money they generate, especially when you factor in how cheap they are to make, and you don't even have to worry about the hardware or anything like that when you peddle these games. Again, this perhaps, quote, shift away from home consoles in almost the same breath as he discusses ramping up mobile game production. I can see where people get a bit nervous, but I really wouldn't be. In fact, I could see this being a net positive for Nintendo players, even the ones who don't play or even have any interest in mobile games. For one, I've said it in a ton of other videos, I'll surely say it in a bunch more, the days of our standard dedicated video game consoles are numbered. Now, that doesn't mean they're going away after the next gen or the gen after that or anything, but if you're thinking decades from now, you have to be open to just about anything. Even the Switch itself, I would argue, is sort of a step away from the standard home console, right? It's a hybrid. We haven't really seen much else like it until now. Maybe that's the future. Hell, 100 years from now, kids might be, Matrix jacking their brains right into the games. Who knows? And in business, you always have to go where the money is. If there's big money, especially easy money to be made, you'd be stupid to ignore it. And if you follow this channel, you know I'm not a fan of mobile games at all. But in terms of Nintendo wanting to go more down that mobile route, get more invested in the mobile market, how could you really blame them? Again, when you look at the numbers these games put up, and they're so simple. I mean, these are titles that cost a fraction of a AAA game to develop, and they generate multiple times more income. But I still think, and listen clearly here, it's fine, as long as we still have our standard AAA games. And I think Nintendo actually understands this, and keeps these markets, especially their types of monetization, separate better than most other companies in the gaming industry. If you look at the overall shift in the gaming landscape in recent years when it comes to monetization, the mobile ideology has really infected a lot of AAA companies and games. More recently, we're even seeing single-player games, get loot boxes and microtransactions added into them. That stuff really disgusts me. And while Nintendo has adopted these practices in their mobile games, their AAA games have been pretty much the opposite. I mean, even on the Switch, my god, how many of these games like Splatoon 2, Mario Tennis Aces, etc., that are just getting free update after free update. And when they do pay DLC, going back to Splatoon 2, the Octo expansion, or something like the Ballad of Champions stuff for Breath of the Wild, they're fantastic offerings that are well worth the price. And personally, I don't think I've ever seen players more excited to pay more for content than they are for this fighter pack for Smash Bros. Ultimate. And it could be argued that their success in the mobile market has a lot to do with the quality stuff they offer in their core games. By generating so much revenue, again, from mobile games that are much cheaper to produce, they're able to provide more free content in other games and restrict paid add-ons to stuff that really feels like a significant value. Now here comes into play the question that I'm seeing some people raise that are kind of freaking out about this. Could the mobile revenue become so great that the big N becomes less and less interested in developing AAA games to the point where they cease to do so entirely? I highly doubt it, and if they did, I even think it would be pretty stupid. Again, this is business, it's about making money, but an aspect of that, especially when you're a big company like this, is diversifying your portfolio to keep all the revenue streams open that you can in case something happens to one. I mean, who knows? Maybe mobile games, maybe AAA games, like will drop off a cliff one day and not make much money, and you gotta, switch over and tap into something else. And for a company like Nintendo, that's not just games, that's everything that makes money. Games, merchandise, movies, TV shows, these upcoming theme parks with Universal, whatever things you can do that are profitable and increase brand recognition. And AAA games in the gaming industry are a vital aspect of that latter part, that brand recognition. A game like Pokemon Go is not popular because it's such a great game. I mean, I'm not trying to hate on it, but let's be real, it's popular because it has the Pokemon brand attached to it. Thousands of mobile games include Pokemon knockoffs, but only Pokemon is the real deal. And why does that matter to people? Why do people want real Pokemon? Well, this is where we come full circle, because of that brand recognition that was created through the core Pokemon games. Most of these mobile Nintendo titles owe a lot of their success to an audience that was built through traditional AAA core games. And even something like, let's say, Dragalia Lost, which is a totally new IP, again, owes a lot to having that Nintendo name stamped onto it, which is also associated with all these great AAA games. Again, honestly, how many people are really going to care about something like Pokemon Go or Animal Crossing Pocket Camp if they don't have those IPs attached to them? It's a mutually beneficial relationship, I think, having both the AAA and these mobile spin-offs. Mobile games can generate a lot of revenue with low risk, and that surplus can be used to put more resources towards creating amazing AAA games. And if Nintendo ever does show signs of not staying the course with this, if Metroid Prime 4, let's say, gets announced to have loot boxes in it, or even worse, one day it does seem like they're starting to throttle back on AAA game development in favor of mobile, believe me, I'm going to be the first one screaming about it. But yeah, not only do I think AAA games are always going to be an important revenue stream for Nintendo, I also think in some ways the success of mobile games can have a net positive on the development of AAA titles. In terms of the whole, a possible shift away from home consoles, I think that's one of those, hey, maybe one day kind of things. That would be way in the future. And again, developing more mobile games, hell, I don't care, make 10, 15 mobile games a year. If they make money, doesn't matter to me, as long as they continue to deliver killer AAA content. But with that, this video's a wrap. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on this possible shift at Nintendo towards making more mobile games in the comments. Is this something we should be worrying about now? And what do you think a shift away from home consoles could possibly look like? Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this discussion on Furukawa's comments on potentially ramping up mobile game production and even shifting away from home consoles one day. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, and if you want to keep the conversation going, hit me up on Twitter @JohnnyZakari. Join my Discord, ChiGuy and Friends. Links to both in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching.